I am currently in Wallowa, Oregon, investigating a creature called Wally, or the Wallowa Lake Monster. The Wallowa Lake Monster, it looks like the Loch Ness Monster, actually, described as having multiple humps, 8 to 20 feet in length, a long neck. You know, the basics that you would expect a sea serpent to have. However, this isn't your average sea serpent. It originally started out as a Native American myth, or legend, story, really, not even myth. And the story basically goes that a Nez Perce woman and Blackfoot tribe man got together and they started going back to the tribe on kayak. And when the Blackfeet found out about this, they all got in their canoes and started traveling out to stop them. Well, Nez Perce also found out, and they also traveled out on their canoes. There was this huge battle, and all of a sudden, a great creature came from the water and knocked over the canoes, drowning several people. And to this day, the Nez Perce do not set foot in that lake, and they will not go on it. Interesting. And other than that, there was just a few sightings here and there. But more recently, a prospector saw one, or saw it. And that's what really gets my interest going. Because that means it's still out and about. And that means there is still whatever it was that was causing these sightings, it's still there. So, what could it be? We'll find out. Recap what that just was. That was bear scat on the trail, and I'm completely alone, so we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully I don't get killed by a bear, but you know, it is what it is. That was a good walk. And we're about to see what we've been waiting for. There we go. Beautiful.
So it depends. It's depending on what you want. I think their paddle boards are going to start somewhere around 600. That tandem kayak wasn't very expensive. It's like $1,400 for an ocean kayak, which is one of the best ones out there. So
ocean inflatable kayak?
Absolutely, yes. So that's what I was going to get to. The next company that you would need to look into. Hey, can I help you?
Are you from like around here?
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay.
I would like to know like what kind of fish and like native species in the lake there are.
So there's about 4 main fish that we talk about. So you're going to have a suckerfish, which is called a whitefish. Kind of looks like a catfish. White belly, no whiskers. Kind of smooth skin looking on top, kind of grayish. The other fish that are in here that you won't see is we have Mackinaw, which is a lake trout. They get up 25, 30 pounds. They stay over 100 feet deep. The other type of fish you'll see is kokanee. We have the world record for landlocked salmon here. Established 2010 at 9 pounds, 9 pounds 7 ounces, I believe, or it was 10 pounds 7 ounces. I can't remember, but that was the world record. You're going to find them running right now. They're spawning at the head of the lake and the inlet of the river. It's almost over. You might catch one or two red ones still floating around there. But what you'll find, they hang out usually around 60 feet, 40 to 60 feet, something like that. But mainly what you're going to see in here is rainbows. We stock not only little rainbows on a continuous basis, but we stock 4 and 5 pound rainbows in here constantly. So this is absolutely, if you're a fisherman, you're an angler, this is where you want to be.
I'm also curious, do you have sturgeon?
As of this moment, my top suspect was the sturgeon, the Pacific white sturgeon, but his answer is a little confusing and makes my job a bit more difficult.
Kind of. So the old timers around here, some of the old country boys, when they used to go to the Snake River years ago, whatever they caught, including sturgeon, bass, catfish, they would just bring them back here and see if they made it. We are starting to see some sturgeon about this big every once in a while. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that may or may not be in it, but just basically 4 types of fish. Trout fishing is real easy. Just take a bobber, small hook, little piece of worm, throw it off the dock. You'll catch fish all day long.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
So what I heard basically was we have a large body of water with a bunch of landlocked lake trout that get very large and could be a easy food source. But at the same time, another explanation could be just that we have fishermen catching sturgeon in the lake and releasing them here in this lake. And so we have a large population of widely unknown about sturgeon inhabiting this lake that look like serpents, because that's just what sturgeon look like. So, the incident with the contractor, or whatever he was, can be easily explained as a sturgeon. The sturgeon matches the description nearly perfectly. Right color, right shape, even right size. I mean, 8 to 20 feet, that middle ground is sturgeon. But what I have to know now is, when were the sturgeons starting to be introduced into the lake? Because he said that people were introducing them. That means they're not native. Which means if people weren't bringing sturgeon into the lake before the natives had their canoe knocked over, then it couldn't have been a sturgeon, could it?
This mountain range here is old Chief Joseph Mountain, okay? So Wallowa Lake is about 300 feet where they live, okay? Old Chief Joseph, Grandpa. Okay, so that's where he ended up. They never let him return after they moved him out here. If you want to read a very sad story, look up the Salmon River, what happened to him in the Salmon River with the Nez Percenians. Anyways, this is their home. This is where they live. Well, early 1800s, they were having a lot of problems with another tribe. This tribe was called the Blackfoot. Okay, a lot of killing going on, a lot of unnecessary violence going on between these two tribes. Well, they finally came to their senses. They decided to have a treaty. Well, through all the stuff that they would have to do through the treaty, through the ceremonies, the final ceremony would be
tribes that would join the tribes together, okay? And what they were to do after their celebration of that day, they would finish the day off, that evening off, with the ceremony wedding of the young couple. And what they did, both tribes, every single member from both tribes, they lined up. We can imagine, probably right where the highway is. Okay, no highway there, right? No roads, no cars, 1800s, right? They probably all lined up around there. Okay? What they were to do at the end of the day, this evening, to finalize the treaty and marry the couple, was to put them into a canoe. They pushed them out. The couple was to go out into the middle of the lake, and that would finalize the treaty, okay? As the couple made their way, they paddled out into the canoe, and they made their way out into the middle of the lake. Wally shows up. The boat is turned over, and the couple was never seen again. The Blackfoot chief takes this as a very bad omen, and he calls the treaty off. The Nez Perce also take this as an omen, as a sign, and what they do, they handle it a little bit differently. From that day, the Nez Perce tribe is still here. From that day, when that canoe was turned over out in the middle of the lake by Wally, they have never returned to the top of Wallowa Lake. Not one. Never said.
So, in conclusion, what have we learned? Isaiah, what have we learned?
We learned theories. We possibly learned, because it can never be fully confirmed, the animal behind the mysteries is known as a sturgeon.
I've been thinking that the more recent things were caused by the sturgeon because they were being introduced, but the reason they were being introduced and not actually there already is because of the dam. And if you think about it, the Native Americans, when that story happened, there was no dam. So the sturgeons would already be there. If you think about how they describe the creature in the original story, they describe it as a sea cow. That's exactly what a sturgeon is.
Feed on algae.
They're herbivorous like a cow.
Giant,
they live in the water.
Big.
So they would just use, they don't have the word for sturgeon, so they just use the closest thing.
Sea cow.
Cow in the water. Sea cow. And the miners, they don't know what that is. They see it from a distance. They see a serpent. So they call it a serpent. And then all of a sudden, there's this description of it being plesiosaur-like. And it just so happens that the description changes to a plesiosaur after the Loch Ness Monster.
After that whole craze and whatnot.
What a weird coincidence.
Yeah, bun that. Get it out.
But people, the original story, they were knocked out of a canoe. Sturgeons do that all the time. The size matches perfectly. 20 feet in length is the biggest sturgeon.
Jesus.
1 ton. Serpent-like.
Yeah.
You know.
The 1-ton fish at my canoe, you best believe I'm dead.
Yeah. You are.
Did I guess with him?
You would sink.
Oh yeah, that did. And if we recall when it happened, it was middle of winter, nighttime, glacier-fed
lake, so it's really cold water already.
Really cold, yeah, exactly. And then when it's middle of winter and it's nighttime, you're gonna get hypothermia. It's harder to move. If you don't get out.
Well, you also, if you hit the water and you're already warm, immediately shocked.
Yeah,
you can't.
So there's that.
Your
body can't move. Hypothermia. You don't get out within 3 minutes. You're probably gonna die. Which is probably
There's another story that made me really interested in the lake monster. Is the story of like a contractor, and he's boating in a kayak across the lake, and he looks out of the corner of his eye, and he sees this neck, and he only sees it for a brief moment because it immediately slams into the water. What do sturgeon like to do?
I don't know, Josh. Tell us.
They like to jump out of the water.
That's freaking scary.
And many people have actually died because a sturgeon has jumped out of the water and hit
Imagine
them.
your son telling people how your son died. Oh, a sturgeon flew out the water and banged him upside the head.
Well, imagine you're in a canoe. You're in a lovely canoe, right? And all of a sudden, a 20-foot, 1-ton fish jumps out of the water at about 30 miles an hour and nails you in the head.
Yep.
You're dead. So there's this contractor. He's going across the lake. All of a sudden, he sees something out of the corner of his eye. He says it's a neck, and it slams into the water immediately.
Right.
What do sturgeon like to do?
They like to jump out of water. Not from flying fish.
They do like to jump out of the water. And if you're looking ahead, and you see something out of the corner of your eye, it's going to be distorted, especially...
Of course, peripheral vision, not always clear.
Especially if you're on a lake, with a lot of reflection.
Yes.
So a sturgeon jumping out and then landing into the water could potentially look like a neck.
Exactly.
Right color, right shape. It matches everything.
Mine can always play tricks on you as well. So
There's a small chance that the Wallowa Lake Monster is real.
Small though.
But I am very confident that the Wallowa Lake Monster is just a sturgeon.
Yeah.
There he is!
That's the monster.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god!
Oh my god, Daddy!
I'm can I help you?
Honey, the ambulance have been hit by a sturgeon over George's head.
How many of them are hurt?
3, the 5-year-old, and the woman is the worst. Please hurry.
Okay.
This time of year, thousands of sturgeon come into freshwater rivers from the Gulf of Mexico to spawn, and they leap out of the water without warning because of lower water levels.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, Daddy!
This one actually jumped clear over a family's boat, narrowly missing a child. Unlike sharks, who are natural predators and attack their prey, sturgeon aren't aggressive. Strikes are simply accidental collisions. But sturgeons can grow to 11 feet and weigh over 1,000 pounds, so a strike is like being hit by a truck.
Oh my lord, that thing is huge!